The Dallas Cowboys looked good in their Week 1 victory over the Cleveland Browns, 33-17. Here are 4 plays that could have big future implications going forward. CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott both just signed big extensions. It's also their second season under Brian Schottenheimer and Mike McCarthy's offensive system. So what we want to see is growth from both of these players, especially Dak Prescott. So for this first play, you'll look, and Cleveland likes to run a lot of man coverage, and they like to press their corners. The Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb on a streak on this sideline up top. Dak's going to send the running back in motion, and it's almost going to be like a quick screen. These 2 receivers down here are going to block these 2 defensive backs, and there's going to be a play set up down at the bottom of your screen. Cleveland, being in press man coverage with a single high safety, Dak Prescott is going to immediately watch this deep safety. When he snaps the ball, if that safety doesn't immediately run over the top of CeeDee Lamb, that's going to be a one-on-one play, and Dak's going to give his best offensive player a shot at coming down with the ball. So let's go ahead and snap it. You see him send the running back in motion. If the free safety doesn't move, Dak throws it. And you're going to see the end zone view right here. And you can really see Dak. He's watching that free safety, this free safety number 1 down here. Dak watches him. He doesn't move. Boom. Good play by the Cowboys. Dak Prescott put that ball exactly where it needed to be. CeeDee came down with the catch. And that's what you want to see from Dak. We want to see that type of growth. We want him to aggressively target his best player. We also want to see him making those types of reads. When I first saw that play during the game, it made me think of Romo and Dez a decade ago when they would hot route anytime Dez would get one-on-one coverage like that. This particular play, there wasn't a hot route, I don't believe, but it was still nice to see Dak give his best player a chance. And on this next play, this is the same drive, just a few plays later. It's 3rd and 5. You see Dak comes out and he sees something with Cleveland. He knows something about what their defense is doing. I assume he's saying that they're in man. And he's audibling to this play. On this play, you're going to have these receivers down at the bottom of your screen, both run slants. And then the inside receiver right here, Brandon Cooks, is going to run a corner route. So Dak's main read on this play is going to be on the left side of the field. He wants to make sure that these 2 corners over here don't get depth when the ball is snapped. And if that's the case, this corner route is already a touchdown pre-snap because Brandon Cooks, all he has to do is get inside of this safety and it's lunchtime. So let's snap the ball. Cleveland with the blitz. Dak immediately sees that those guys don't drop back. That's going to be open. Touchdown Dallas. Switching to the end zone view, Dak really doesn't have a lot of time to throw this ball. But you see he looks over, those guys don't drop back. Boom, it's a touchdown. This is an important play because Dak really anticipated that throw. And one thing that we've all wanted to see a little bit more of from Dak Prescott is throwing his receivers open. Now, as the game went on, this wasn't something that happened consistently enough, in my opinion. However, this is growth, and this is something that if he can build on this as the season progresses, can make the Cowboys offense that much better and hopefully elevate it to the next level by the time the playoffs get here. All right, flipping things over to the defensive side of the ball, and this gets really fun. Mike Zimmer was brought in this season, replacing the departing Dan Quinn, and they're both great defensive coordinators, but they're 2 completely different schemes. Dan Quinn's is a little more simplistic, relying on his players playing to their potential and maybe above it a little bit. He tries to take a lot of the thinking out of the game so guys can just play. Mike Zimmer is kind of the opposite of that. And it could have its pluses and its minuses. If you don't have a really smart defense that can handle the schematic concepts of Mike Zimmer's defense, it may not work very well. But if you have very talented players who can also handle the thinking part of the game, it really raises the ceiling on how good this defense can be. And this first play is a perfect example of that. So looking at this first play, it is 3rd and 11. DeMarcus Lawrence gets a sack on this play, but the important thing I want you to see is this. The Cowboys have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if you count Diggs, guys up close to the line of scrimmage, okay? And these 2 guys in the middle, that's called a mug look. Cleveland doesn't know who's coming and who's dropping back. So Mike Zimmer did this a handful of times in the game, and it really created a lot of confusion for the Browns. And as you see, Right as the ball is about to be snapped, both of these guys in the middle drop back. But at various times throughout the game, they were blitzing. So Cleveland doesn't know who's coming. And once the ball is snapped, the center doesn't block anybody. Micah Parsons gets a one-on-one. DeMarcus Lawrence gets a one-on-one. And the Cowboys get to the quarterback. If you look at the end zone view, this is an even better angle. So right before the ball is snapped, you have Overshown and Kendricks dropping back into coverage. The center doesn't block anybody, which means all four of these rushers have one-on-one matchups. Mike Zimmer was doing this stuff all game, and it's a big difference from what the Cowboys were doing last season. The Cowboys were elite at rushing the quarterback last year. They had the highest pressure rate of any team over the last 6 seasons. In week 1 against the Browns, the Cowboys led the NFL with 25 quarterback pressures, which is pretty crazy. The second place team had 18. This is important because of 2 reasons. The Cowboys finally have linebackers in Eric Kendricks and DeMarvion Overshown that look like they can actually play. And last year, the Cowboys ran an anomalous amount of dime defense, which just had 1 linebacker. That created some issues at times defensively. They did not run that as much against Cleveland. And in fact, they ran a lot of 2 high safety, which they didn't do a lot of last year. So this is almost a completely different defensive scheme that you're watching with the Cowboys. So this amount of deception is not something that the Cowboys defense was doing under Dan Quinn, and it could really create a lot of problems as the season goes on for opposing offenses. If we take a look at the 4th and final play, it is 2nd and 14. On this play, Eric Kendricks, number 50 right here, is going to blitz. Now, his blitz is going to allow Micah Parsons to come unblocked towards Deshaun Watson. Watson tries to throw it, Micah tips it, and Eric Kendricks actually backs out and manages to intercept the pass. So let's take a look and snap the ball. Eric Kendricks, Micah Parsons, greatness. But the view that really shows what happened is the end zone view. So I want you to take a look at this. And this is Mike Zimmer, right? Okay. You have Kendricks lined up right over the center. Cleveland's getting ready to snap the ball. And as you watch, he starts to drift over to the left. He timed it a little early, but it still worked out perfect. He runs directly at the left tackle. Okay? He doesn't give this left tackle a choice to guard him, to block him or Micah. This allows Micah to come off the ball completely unblocked. I mean, that is just a genius but simple defensive play that makes me excited to watch Dallas Cowboys defensive football for the rest of the season. So those are the 4 plays from week 1 that I think have a lot of future implications on what this team can be. Dak Prescott progressing, growing as his career goes on and hopefully gets better and better. And the defense under Mike Zimmer just looks like a completely different unit. They're swarming the ball, they're disguising blitzes. They really confused Cleveland's offensive line and Deshaun Watson. This could be a really fun year. We'll see what happens week 2 against New Orleans.